Good morning, class. Welcome to Mr. Wan's class. Welcome to our writing class. I know we've been working on narrative writing, but a lot of you have questions about how do I start, what do I do, how can we do this, all of that. Don't worry. Today I'm going to provide a skill and methods that I use to help me with my own narrative writing. I'm going to give you examples of how I got to the idea I wanted to think about, what was the idea, what helped me get the ideas, and as well as this little thing called mentor text where I get ideas from other writers on how to write my own writing. Yes, it is okay to borrow other things from other mentors. I know you wanna. It's all personal and you wanna be original, but also a lot of great things are learned from other people as well. They learn from others, so they can apply it. I've learned so much from others, and now I'm teaching you guys. You're learning from me. So what you know is what I know, but then it could go the other way. What you know, someone else can know, and that's what I consider mentor text, as in something you learn from someone else that you could use yourself, and that is okay. So don't worry, it's not called stealing. Thank you. Let us begin. Alright, students, welcome. First, I want to talk about how I came to my subject for my narrative. I want to talk about a past memory of mine. And what I want to talk about specifically is my elementary school. And I remember a lot of things just like you. I was in elementary and I had many fun moments. And I remember those thoughts, but I felt like I was missing so much. Fortunately, I used the skill of making a map, a physical layout of my school to help me with my memories. As you can see here, I have the buildings, the gardens, the bungalows, the cafeteria, the auditorium, the playground. Yes, that's my favorite place too on campus during my elementary years. The parking lot, the main building where the office is, where the principal is. All of this helped me memorize everything from my campus because I remember ideas, but I don't remember every idea from every location on campus. For example, when I drew this building, I remember that I had first through third grade here, where a lot of memories happen. And I was like, while I was drawing the building, I remember all those thoughts, and I started writing those thoughts on another pad to help me remember those things that I will use for my narrative. So I will encourage you to perhaps draw a physical drawing of the memory. If you're thinking of drawing a narrative of the past, in your past life, perhaps you went to a park, maybe there's a party that you went to, you want to draw the party, the tables, all of that. You want to talk about that specifically. Drawing the physical layout will help you remember things more better and remember new things that you may have missed when just memorizing from your own head. Okay, and then I started the writing process. I started writing memories, where I went, how it looked, what happened, what it felt like. All of that was all written down in this little notepad right here. But as you guys said, you guys have a lot of things you want to talk about and ideas you have. But the thing is, how? How do I put them in the paper, in the narrative writing? And how do I start most of all? I know all of us struggle with the beginning. Most of all of us will start off, I did this, I went here, it was this happened, all that. And yes, you are right, that seems a little too boring and maybe too straightforward, that you want to give it a little more spice, or give it more of a way of it being like your stories where you read already, and you just want to be more original than just being just robotic. So I'm gonna get to that point right now. Right, ladies and gentlemen, what helped me the most were hooks. How to start a hooks. There are many hooks samples to start off. There's dialogue, there's character thought, emotion. It's different unique ways of starting off. For example, this dialogue starts off, "Did you see her? That was the first thing Kevin said to me on the first day of school, 11th grade. We were waiting for the bell to ring. See who?" I said. "Han." He craned his neck, scanning the mob. He had witnessed something remarkable. It showed on his face. He grinned, still scanning. "You'll know." Now that is very interesting for me. Instead of just starting that they were in the hallways, that he saw his friends and was like, "Oh, did you see her, or did you see that?" It's more interesting as it gives you an idea of what they were thinking in their own head at the moment. And I think that's very interesting. That's one way I actually decided to start one of my stories. But more importantly, I want to talk about settings. For example, in this book, they start off, "It was one of the most super duper cold Saturdays. One of those days that when you breathe out, your breath kind of hangs frozen in the air like a hunk of smoke, and you could walk along and look exactly like a train blowing out big, fat, white puffs of smoke." that caught my attention because I am talking about a place. I'm talking about my elementary school. And I thought it was very interesting how they started off giving details specifically to the place, and they make you think that you were there yourself. Remember, we're trying to build a hook to drive our audience into our reading, and yes, we want it to not be boring and to be interesting. And I didn't want to start off my story with, oh, I went here, this is how it looked, all of this. I actually wanted to do something more, as in give the audience a visual of it within the text itself. Instead of describing it only, I actually can get them to imagine the place. And that's where I'll go to my example right now. So here's my example. I will read it right now. It's based on setting. The place was empty. All the students had left the place they considered their second home. The place was a lot older. The grounds had cracks and the colorful areas were washed out due to years of play. However, it was still the playground. I actually take pride in this example that I wrote for myself because I started my story off where I went to this school. It was called this. We had that. Buildings, playground. All of that's kind of boring, honestly. I want to give it a little bit more. With this, you can actually visualize the place, and all schools are pretty much all the same. Everything you see here on your school is the same things I had in my school. We're like living the same memories together. It's just that you're a different time. I was in a different time, but we could relate, especially once you start reading the setting place that I had. You start all familiarizing yourself and saying, yeah, that is true. We do have cracks in the ground. Some things are not as painted as they used to be. And this is a great example of how I changed my story from just going on robotically and explaining the story, and I actually gave it a little more pizzazz to it. Alright everyone, now that I gave you an example of how I did it, I want us to practice a little bit so you could actually get an idea from it. I got those ideas from the mentor's text that I was using. So you're gonna do the same thing. You're gonna use you're gonna use other books that give you idea. But let's get that later on. Right now I want us to practice setting so you get an idea of how setting works. I remember some of you were talking about how you went to New York City, how you went to Las Vegas, how you went to San Francisco. For this example, I want to assume that you are going to say these things, especially for New York City. Let's say I was talking about the setting and all that. I don't want to just say the location, say that I went this and did that. I want to describe it. So one way of doing this, like we could say for New York City, the buildings were huge. So I'm drawing the buildings. The buildings were huge. All right. I see big buildings in my head right now. They were red, they were gray, all of that. I don't have crayons right now, but I could draw the colors if I had the colors. But let's say the buildings were big. There were lights everywhere. There were cars on the streets, taxis on the streets, and we were walking around, and it felt like we were little small ants in a big city. That's actually a great example of a setting to help you start off your story versus just saying specifically that you are in New York City. That's kind of boring, because at the end what setting is, you want your audience to visualize it. This is actually a physical visualization of that example that I just gave, and we're gonna work on that right now with you guys. If you want to use settings, you're not obligated to use that. You're also gonna have other text that you're gonna use that you can help you make your writing even better. So now I'm gonna go ahead and bring the mentor text that I know that you guys requested, as well as the ones that we've been using that you guys enjoy, and we're gonna run through that text to get more examples of what we could borrow from them to make our writings better, our narrative writings even better. Now it could be dialogue, emotions, characters, or settings. It doesn't matter. We're gonna run through it. I'm gonna help you through that. You're gonna point out little sections that you like within the text that you're like, I like how they use this. I kind of want to use the same idea as how they build up to it, and I'm gonna explain that part for you and what exactly they did, so you could actually apply it to your narrative writing. So get ready. We're gonna do it together right now, and I'm gonna come to each one of you individually, and we're gonna make your narrative writing even better. Alright, so we just finished all of that. You guys did a good job. There was a lot of great ideas that we borrowed from the narrative mentor text, and we're gonna use that and apply it to our narrative writing, which will improve your writing. And don't worry, you'll get more practice as time passes throughout the semester, and you'll learn how to use other ideas from other people's and these things we know as mentor text to improve your writing. Because at the end, we want to improve your writing. It's already good, but you guys want to get more skills and more ideas of how to improve it even better, and we will do that through this narrative writing and using mentor text throughout the semester. All right, thank you very much.